Hi, this is Jaya. In this video, we shall see the summary of A Tragic Story, a poem written by William Makepeace Thackeray. W.M. Thackeray was born in 1811 in Kolkata in India, but later on his family shifted from India. He was an English novelist, poet and illustrator. His famous works include Vanity Fair, The History of Pendennis, The Newcomes, The Adventures of Philip, Lowell the Widower. This poem talks about a sage who lived long ago. This sage has a pigtail attached to the back of his head. He humorously narrates the sage's attempt to change the position of the pigtail from the back of his head to the front of his face. And the sage tries all things possible, but the poet says he failed in his attempt. This poem is a satire on how wise men can lack practical knowledge sometimes and act in a way that contradicts all the knowledge that they have acquired throughout their life. It also is a representation of how men can waste time pursuing trivial things that cannot actually matter in life. The poem is humorous. Here, Thackeray mocks at people who claim that they gained the supreme knowledge through this poem. He talks about an incident that happened long ago when he himself was not available to ponder over the events that were taking place. He narrates the incident in the form of a folklore. The event is about a sage who lived long ago. He says that the sage wore a handsome pigtail. A pigtail is a person's hair tied up at the back of his head. Sages are generally supposed to not indulge in beautifying themselves and are required to live a minimal life. But this sage maintains an exceptionally long pigtail. The pigtail is a handsome one, such that it is neatly combed, plaited, and tied up. Now the sage is worried about it, and the reason for his worry is that it hung behind him and not in his face. The sage puts a lot of thought into the curious case. He does not seem to understand the reason why the pigtail is behind his head. He is keen to change the position and swears that he would have it hanging from his face and not from the back of his head. He thinks that achieving success in changing the position of the pigtail would portray him as even wiser. After constant thinking and experimenting with his hair, he finally shouts in glee that he had solved the mystery. He thinks that he could change the position of the pigtail if he jumps around and turns the position of his body from the way he was standing at the moment. He therefore turns his body, but the pigtail being attached to the head of the sage stays in the same position. When he turns back, his head also turns back and the pigtail's position does not change to the front of his face. He jumps across the floor to see if the pigtail would appear on the front. He twists and twirls his body in a random manner to achieve this goal. The sage went round and round, seeing the pigtail following his rotating patterns. He then moves in and out, which is one step forward and the other backward. But it did not even create an effect as small as the size of a pin. The sage's sturdy pigtail hung in his back no matter what he did. The sage was not a man to easily give up. He continues with his effort despite knowing that his attempts are in vain. He again twists, twirls, and tags, but the pigtail is faithful to the place it had remained and did not move to the face of the sage. So let's read the poem. There lived a sage in days of yore, and he her handsome pigtail wore, but wondered much and sorrowed more because it hung behind him. He mused upon this curious case and swore he would change the pigtail's place and have it hanging at his face, not dangling there behind him. Says he, the mystery I have found. Says he, the mystery I have found. I will turn me round, and he turned him round, but still it hung behind. Then round and out and in, all day the puzzled sage did spin. In vain it mattered not a pin, the pigtail hung behind him. And right and left and round about and up and down and in and out he turned, but still the pigtail, stout, hung steadily behind him. And though his efforts never slack, and thought he'd twist and twirl and tack, alas, still faithful to his back, the pigtail hangs behind him. So this is the poem. If you have anything more to add on to what I've said, Please write it in the comment box, like the video, share it with your friends, and if you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe and support. Thank you.